Okay, Sandra Fluke, or Sandra Fluke, gave a speech at the Democratic National Convention. She made two absolutely ridiculous points that I'm going to respond to in this video. But first, I want to talk about what we agree on. The Republican Party over the past couple of years has passed a tremendous amount of ridiculous bills meant to intimidate, scare, whatever word you want to use, women. They proposed, I'm not sure if they passed, the transvaginal ultrasound bill. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's medically unnecessary. It's big government at its worst. If you want to call it a war on women, that's totally fine with me. I'm not going to give you any disagreement on that. Not a Republican, not here to shill for the Republicans at all. But she did make two ridiculous points in the speech, and that's what I'm going to address. So she made the point that in Obama's future, women won't be discriminated against by their medical insurance companies. For those of you who don't know, women on average pay higher medical insurance premiums. Now, the reason they pay higher premiums is because women get pregnant. And a couple of years ago, the government mandated, or many years ago, the government mandated that private insurance must cover prenatal care. Now, if they have to cover prenatal care, and prenatal care is expensive, then they're going to pass that cost on to the recipients of prenatal care, which are women. It's not discrimination, it's called risk assessment. Now, if you believe that this is part of the war on women, then you're about to be shut down completely. Because men, on average, pay higher, especially 18 to 25, pay higher auto insurance premiums. This is because men get into more accidents. It's called risk assessment. Men are more likely to get into accidents. They pay higher car insurance. Women are the only people who get pregnant, so they pay higher medical insurance. If women paying higher medical insurance is part of the war on women, then the auto companies are waging war on men. So unless you believe in the auto insurance company's war on men, then you shouldn't believe in the medical insurance company's war on women. It's risk assessment. It's basic fucking insurance. It's the basic principles of how insurance works. They determine risk and they charge according to that risk. Now the whole reason Sandra Fluke is famous is because Rush Limbaugh called her a slut when she wanted to ask the government to make her insurance pay for her birth control. Now, Rush Limbaugh, totally wrong. Don't listen to him. Don't give a shit about Rush Limbaugh. He could go he could go back on the oxycodone and fucking have a heart attack for all I care. Don't give a shit about Rush Limbaugh. But that doesn't mean that Sandra Fluke is right in asking for free birth control. Now, there's three aspects to this free birth control idea that are completely wrong. One is that it's a right. You don't have a right to free birth control. Rights you're born with. If you're religious, you say they come from God. I'm not religious. I'm atheist. So I say they are ours by virtue of our humanity. They don't come from government. I can speak, therefore I have the right to speak. I can think, therefore I have the right to think. I have the right to choose who I worship. You can't police what's in my mind. I have the right to defend myself. I have the right to my property. The product of my life and my liberty is property. So you don't have a right to birth control. Birth control didn't even exist 200 years ago. How the fuck do you have a fundamental right to something that hadn't even been invented yet? What if birth control was never invented? Would your fundamental right not exist? You don't have a right to birth control is my point. And there was a video on TYT Nation a couple months ago when this whole shit got started that said birth control is a privilege. It's not a privilege either. It's a product. You have every right to consume or use birth control. I'm not against birth control. You have to be insane to be against birth control. But you have to pay for it. It's a product. I have the right to eat, but I have to buy food. I don't have a right to food. I can't go into the grocery store and eat whatever the fuck I want. I have to pay for it. You have to pay for your birth control. You don't have a fundamental right to it. Now, the second aspect is that the birth control mandate will actually save the insurance companies money over time. Don't care whether this is true or not. Actually, it's not true, but you have to look at these studies by who did the study. And the study that proves that birth control will save insurance companies money if they cover it was done by the same people that make birth control. Now, some insurance companies chose to believe the study and they chose to cover it. Some didn't. But when you mandate that, you throw everything out of whack. Because what ends up happening is you change the incentive structure. Now, the insurance company legally has to buy birth control from the pharmaceutical company. So the pharmaceutical company is trying to make as much money as possible, but now with the mandate, they can charge whatever they want because the insurance company can't say no. They have to pay for it. That's what the mandate is. So if the birth control company charges whatever they want, and the insurance company has to buy it, they will pass the cost on to us with higher premiums. And since you can't quote unquote discriminate against women, they will pass the cost on to everybody. So it's not going to cost less. You don't have a fundamental right to it. And finally, this was a non-issue. 99% of the female population already used or have used contraception. They had easy access to this. This is a fake right. It's not a right. It's a fake issue. The whole point of this is just a kickback to the pharmaceutical companies. They are the key beneficiaries from this bill. Not women, not the fucking women's rights movement, they are the beneficiaries. They did the studies, they lobbied the government did it. I don't care about religious aspects, I don't care about any of that stuff. It's bad economics, it's bad policy, and it's ridiculous to say that you have a right to free birth control. You don't have a right to any product for free. That's it. That's my response to Sandra Fluke or Sandra Fluke. Subscribe to TYT Nation, don't be an asshole, and put your dislikes right here and your hater comments down there. Alright, see you later, guys.